pregnant wife, left a single-note millionaire, found it after running off with Mistress. In a world where extravagance and heartbreak collide, one decision can change everything. Meet Ethan Greenwood, a charismatic millionaire with the perfect public image, sharp suits, generous donations, a breathtaking mansion. But behind all the glamour and sparkle lies a tumultuous tale of betrayal, regret, and hidden pain. When Ethan forsakes his devoted pregnant wife Lily for a dazzling mistress, the consequences of his choices threaten to unravel his entire existence. Little does he know, a single handwritten note from Lily will send him spiraling into the darkest recesses of his conscience. This is a story of secrets, love, and the high cost of a broken promise. Ethan Greenwood was born in the quiet town of Glenhaven, an unassuming place with one main street, a smattering of modest homes, and a timeless feel. Even as a child, Ethan dreamed big. He often told his mother, Amelia Greenwood, that one day he would own a penthouse overlooking a bustling city and drive around in the fanciest cars. Amelia, however, hoped her son would value integrity above all and remember that success meant nothing without kindness. Throughout high school, Ethan was the kind of teenager everyone gravitated toward. With his natural wit and smile, teachers excused his occasional tardiness and classmates sought his friendship. After graduation, Ethan left Glenhaven to attend an Ivy League university, determined to climb the social and financial ladder. He succeeded beyond measure, starting off in finance. He built a small empire in venture capital by partnering with a friend, Michael Donovan. Their uncanny ability to spot promising tech startups propelled them to the highest rungs of wealth and celebrity. In the midst of frequent business deals and lavish galas, Ethan met Lily Henderson, a soft-spoken graphic designer who captivated him with her genuine empathy and artistic soul. She wore simple floral dresses and always carried a sketchbook, her paint-stained fingertips a testament to her creativity. After an impromptu conversation at a charity art auction, Ethan found himself inexplicably drawn to Lily's gentle warmth. She was unlike the usual glamorous models or heiresses he encountered at every soirée. Their connection, though unexpected, was immediate and intense. When Ethan proposed to Lily on the balcony of his penthouse, she accepted with tears of joy in her eyes. Their wedding was a quiet affair in a private garden, attended by close friends, select business associates, and Lily's family. Ethan's empire continued to grow, and Lily remained his anchor, the person who reminded him of who he was when no one else was watching. In return, Ethan financed her dreams of opening a small art studio in the heart of the city. She found solace among canvases, color palettes, and the swirl of paintbrushes, while he thrived under the glow of boardrooms, multi-million-dollar negotiations, and power lunches. Yet, for all appearances, the Greenwood marriage radiated happiness. Tabloid reporters tried to fabricate drama around them, but they found no real fodder. Lily rarely courted publicity, and Ethan paid them no mind. To everyone who observed, they were a perfect couple. What the world did not see, however, were the emotional distances forming in the shadowed corners of their relationship. With each new high-profile deal, Ethan was pulled further from Lily's side. The man who once lay awake at night, dreaming of building an empire with integrity, was now more focused on the empire and less on the integrity. His life brimmed with the superficial, glitzy events, media attention, and admirers who whispered sweet flattery into his ears. Still, Lily loved him deeply, trusting he would find his way back to her once the initial frenzy of success settled. This trust was the invisible thread holding their marriage together, but threads, no matter how strong, can unravel when tested by betrayal they never see coming. The first hints of trouble began subtly. Ethan, who once took Lily out every Friday night for a quiet dinner, started cancelling at the last minute. When Lily would remind him of these dinners, Ethan often brushed it off as just dinner or apologized curtly, promising to make it up to her. He rarely did. Eventually, Lily stopped asking him to meet her at the small bistro where they used to share dessert by candlelight. Then there were the phone calls at odd hours. Lily would wake in the middle of the night to find Ethan pacing in the living room, phone pressed tightly to his ear. When she tried to join him or ask if he was all right, he'd wave her away, mentioning urgent business. She trusted him, he'd never given her a reason not to, but each of these distant, hushed conversations pricked at her confidence. Their weekends grew quieter. Lily would be painting in her studio, waiting for Ethan, only to learn he had hopped on a private jet early that morning to close a deal in Silicon Valley or meet with new clients in Miami. He rarely extended an invitation for Lily to join him on these trips. Initially, Lily chalked it up to his desire not to burden her with his hectic schedule. But an undercurrent of unease swirled in her mind, despite her attempts to ignore it. At social events, Ethan's presence became more performative. He would wrap an arm around Lily's waist, flash his pearly smile for the camera, and move on to the next group of VIPs with barely a word to her. The warmth of the early days of their marriage seemed to flicker like a dying flame. Lily, clutching a glass of sparkling cider at events, was no longer the person he engaged in private jokes with or teased with conspiratorial winks. She felt like a prop, a mere extension of his polished image. One night, while Lily prepared dinner, a hearty vegetable lasagna, Ethan's favorite, he arrived home later than usual. She went to greet him at the door, but before she could say a word, Ethan announced, "I have an important meeting in Singapore next week. I'll be gone for a few days." He didn't notice the confusion on Lily's face or the fact that dinner still steamed on the table. He marched into his office, closing the door. Lily stood there, dish towel in one hand, listening to the echo of that closing door. Each time Ethan left, a piece of their connection seemed to slip away. Worse, Lily felt as though Ethan had unknowingly left her behind in the world he had once wanted her to be part of. Their love story, once sweet and luminous, now felt fractured by the weight of success and secrets. But she believed patience would heal these fractures, and in a quiet, poignant way, she hoped their baby, yes, the one she had just discovered she was carrying, would bring them closer again. Her name was Caroline Holt. Glossy dark hair fell in effortless waves down her back, and she had a confident gaze that commanded the attention of every room she entered. A socialite by upbringing, Caroline's parents had made their fortune in luxury real estate, giving her a seamless entry into the world of the elite. She was used to glamorous events, CIP sections, and personal stylists. No one who saw Caroline would suspect the cunning mind concealed behind that immaculate exterior. Yet cunning she was extraordinarily so. Ethan first met Caroline at a high-stakes investors conference in New York, introduced by his business partner, Michael Donovan. He noticed Caroline's impeccable style, a sleek black gown, diamond earrings, and a watch that cost as much as a car. She spoke with a melodic voice, peppered with self-assured laughter. At first, Ethan was only mildly intrigued by this socialite who seemed to know everyone. He found her conversation entertaining, but nothing more. Still, as the days wore on, Caroline seemed to appear everywhere at the after-party for a product launch, at a private dinner with investors, at exclusive clubs, and each time she made sure to offer Ethan some small token of her attention, a suggestive smile, a playful banter, a whispered aside, hinting that she saw him as so much more than a mere businessman. Despite the tugging guilt, Ethan found himself drawn to Caroline. She understood his world of deals and transactions with an ease that often eluded Lily, who preferred quiet nights and artistic pursuits. Caroline reveled in the same sphere of luxury events, paparazzi-littered galas, and grand ambitions. Over the weeks, the boundary between polite friendship and flirtation eroded. Ethan told himself it was harmless, a passing attraction, a quick spark that would fizzle out, but Caroline had no intention of letting it fizzle. One evening, after a successful venture capital deal, Ethan and Caroline ended up celebrating with a circle of investors. She softly placed a hand on his shoulder, leaning in to whisper a congratulatory note that sent a jolt through his nerves. It was in that charged moment, under the dazzling lights of a penthouse party, that Ethan realized the line he'd sworn never to cross infidelity was closer than ever. Something in Caroline's gaze told him she knew exactly what she was doing. Back at his own penthouse, Ethan wrestled with his conscience. Lily was asleep in their bedroom, exhausted after a day of reorganizing her art studio. His phone buzzed, revealing a message from Caroline: "Next time, save a dance for me." He stared at the text, heart pounding, torn between the life he had and the life that was tantalizingly offered. Guilt flared, but so did a strange excitement. His successes, once overshadowed by Lily's quiet devotion, now seemed recognized, matched, and admired by a worldly woman who glowed under the same limelight he did. Thus began a fragile, dangerous dance. Ethan told himself it was purely business, purely a network of deals and connections. But deep down, he knew it was more. Each morning, he hid his phone from Lily's view, clearing messages and indulging in half-truths. For the first time in his marriage, he had something to hide. And once that door opened even a crack, Caroline pushed it wide open, letting secrets flood in. Lily could sense the shift. In the hush of their bedroom, she heard Ethan's phone vibrate at odd hours. When she walked into a room unannounced, he'd quickly pocket the device. Once, Lily caught a glimpse of a name on the screen: Caroline Holt. She recognized the name from magazine articles touting Caroline's philanthropic work at lavish fundraisers. Lily felt a cold stone settle in her stomach. She wanted to trust Ethan, but the woman's messages, the hush in Ethan's voice, something was amiss. Torn between suspicion and the enduring love she bore her husband, Lily tried to approach him gently. After all, this was the man she married, the man she believed would remain faithful. One evening, as Ethan rummaged through documents in his home office, Lily entered, wringing her hands. "Ethan," she began softly, "I'd like to talk." He looked up, impatient. "About what? There's been a distance between us. We hardly spend time together anymore, and I feel like I'm losing you to your work, to your social circles." He stared at her, momentarily speechless, then sighed. "Lily, everything I do is for us. You know how many deals I'm juggling. The world we live in demands sacrifices." Lily nodded. "I understand the pressure. But what about Caroline Holt? I saw her name on your phone." His lips compressed into a thin line. "She's an investor and a social contact, Lily. She's critical to my next round of funding, and we've been collaborating on some philanthropic work." "You're worrying yourself unnecessarily." Lily wanted to believe him, but the pang in her chest refused to subside. She stepped closer, placing a hand on his arm. "I love you, Ethan. I only ask for honesty." With that final plea, she turned to leave, tears threatening to fall. Ethan didn't go after her. In fact, the moment she left, he exhaled sharply, his mind drifting to Caroline. The conversations, the flirting, how far would he let this go? A few weeks later, Lily noticed she was having persistent bouts of nausea. She bought a pregnancy test, her hands trembling as she waited for the results. The little plus sign that appeared felt like both a miracle and an anchor of hope. That very night, Lily planned a romantic dinner, envisioning how she would share the life-changing news with Ethan. She decorated the dining room table with candles, bought a bouquet of lilies, and cooked his favorite steak with peppercorn sauce. Ethan came home late, reeking of cologne that wasn't his own. His shirt collar bore a faint smudge of lipstick. As Lily stood there, heartbreak etched across her face, Ethan tried to speak, but the words came out in a tangled, incoherent rush. In a single moment, the truth shattered the last illusions. Betrayal wasn't a paranoid suspicion, it was there, emblazoned on his clothes, stinging the air. Lily didn't need the full story to know Ethan had crossed the line. Whatever dinners, stolen kisses, or quiet rendezvous had happened, it was enough to tear them apart. For a long, agonizing moment, silence strangled the room. Then Ethan's phone buzzed again with a message from Caroline. "Can't stop thinking about you tonight." Lily closed her eyes. The dinner she prepared lay untouched, her carefully planned surprise dissolved in heartbreak. All she could think was, he has shattered our life, and he doesn't even realize what he's lost. Long into the night, Lily lay awake, tears staining her pillow. Ethan had stumbled into the guest room, too ashamed or perhaps too cowardly to face her. She tried to find the words that could encapsulate the betrayal, her sadness, and the unstoppable tide of change about to wash over them. But it felt impossible, too vast to capture in a single conversation. By morning, Lily was numb. She rose silently, showered, and gazed at her reflection in the mirror. She barely recognized the woman, staring back, eyes puffy and ringed with pain, a fragile soul who had believed in love's enduring power. The test, confirming her pregnancy, lay on the bathroom counter. "He's with another woman," she thought, "while I'm carrying his child." The magnitude of this truth almost knocked the breath from her lungs. Stepping into the kitchen, Lily found Ethan there, sipping coffee and refusing to meet her gaze. The tension was suffocating. She realized then that nothing she said could fix the damage. Her heart ached too deeply for an easy resolution. In that moment, Lily decided she had to leave. Not as a game, not as revenge, but to protect herself and the precious life inside her from the toxicity that had taken root in Ethan's world. If he had truly chosen Caroline, so be it. She wouldn't force him to stay. Ethan managed a half apology. "Lily, I'm sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. Things just got complicated." He trailed off, searching for the right words, but the more he spoke, the shallower his excuses sounded, even to himself. Lily nodded, hollow. "I can't do this. It's too painful. You need to decide what you really want, Ethan. But I can't stick around while you figure it out." She turned, ignoring the sting in her heart. Throughout the day, Lily packed her belongings. She moved quietly, her mind strangely calm, meticulously folding clothes, gathering art supplies, wrapping canvases in protective sheets. She had a place in mind, her sister, Lucy Henderson's home, just outside the city. Around noon, when Ethan left for a meeting, likely to see Caroline, Lily knew this was her chance to go without a dramatic confrontation. She wrote him a note, her emotions simmering to the surface as pen met paper. It was short, raw, and honest. "Ethan, I love you, but I can't stay and watch us tear each other apart. I'm leaving for now. I'm pregnant, and this baby deserves a father who truly wants a family. If you ever decide you want that, you know where to find me." Lily, she placed the note on the kitchen counter, weighed down by a small statue Ethan had once gifted her. Her heart pounded as she took one last glance around the penthouse they had shared, once a testament to their union, now a hollow monument to betrayal. Then, with her suitcase in hand and tears burning her eyes, Lily left, her footsteps echoing on the marble floors. When Ethan returned that night, riding a wave of confusion and guilt, he found the apartment dark. The emptiness struck him like a physical blow. Spotting the folded paper on the counter, he read it by the dim light of a single lamp. Her words crushed whatever illusions he'd clung to. The reality sunk in. Lily was pregnant, and he'd driven her away. He was alone, and all he had was that note. Lily's sister, Lucy Henderson, lived in a modest suburban home, worlds away from Ethan's skyline penthouse. An avid gardener, Lucy greeted Lily at the door with open arms the moment she arrived. Suitcases in tow, there were no words needed. Lucy could see the agony etched on Lily's face. Without hesitation, Lucy guided her inside, brewed a pot of herbal tea, and provided a warm blanket to wrap around Lily's trembling shoulders. For the first few days, Lily hardly spoke. She was exhausted, emotionally drained from the cataclysm of her marriage falling apart. She laid low, only venturing out into Lucy's lush backyard for brief moments of fresh air. Lucy supported her in quiet solidarity, leaving comforting notes on Lily's bedside table and cooking healthy meals to ensure Lily's developing baby got the nutrients it needed. Lily's life, once filled with gallery openings and glamorous fundraisers, now revolved around introspection and healing. Slowly, Lily began to open up to Lucy about the pregnancy. Emotions flooded out in disjointed bursts. She talked of how she wanted to share the pregnancy news with Ethan in a special way, the name ideas she'd drafted in her journal, and the excitement she'd felt at becoming a mother. Now, all those memories felt tainted by betrayal. Lucy listened, her own heart breaking at her sister's suffering. She offered practical advice as well. "Have you considered seeing an attorney?" she asked gently, knowing full well Lily might not be ready to consider legalities. Lily shook her head. The idea of divorce or custody battles made her stomach churn. She still harbored a small sliver of hope that Ethan would come to his senses, return to her, apologize with genuine remorse, and commit to their family. But a growing sense of realism kept Lily from letting that hope consume her. In the quiet sanctuary of Lucy's guest room, Lily began sketching again. She drew swirling patterns of heartbreak and renewal, sometimes capturing the silhouette of a pregnant woman standing alone under a towering city skyline. With each stroke of her pencil, Lily felt her spirit slowly mend. She knew she had a life inside her, a tiny being that would need her protection. This realization lent her an unbreakable will to survive, no matter how alone or wounded she felt. Despite Lily's attempt to protect her privacy, word began to spread within certain circles. Some of Lily's friends from her art studio checked in, leaving messages of concern. Michael Donovan, Ethan's business partner, also tried reaching out, but Lily ignored those calls. Michael was, after all, part of Ethan's sphere, and Lily wasn't ready to trust anyone connected to that world. She wanted to carve out a space of solace away from the gossip, pity, and the endless swirl of questions. During her second week at Lucy's, Lily finally visited an obstetrician to confirm the pregnancy and ensure everything was progressing normally. Under the gentle hum of the sonogram machine, she saw the faint flicker of a heartbeat, her baby's heartbeat. Tears clouded her vision, but for the first time since she'd left Ethan, the tears carried a sense of cautious optimism. She vowed to take care of this child, whether Ethan chose to be involved or not. And so Lily found herself on a path she had never anticipated, forging ahead as a single, expectant mother, leaning on her sister's unwavering support and grappling with the complicated love she still felt for the man who had betrayed her. All the while, she was haunted by the echo of that unanswered question: would Ethan ever come back to her? Ethan read Lily's note a dozen times. The words, "I'm pregnant. Can't watch us tear each other apart. If you ever decide you want that, you know where to find me," pierced him like shards of glass. It was a revelation that shook him to his core, and he realized the gravity of what he'd done. Yet, pride and the lingering thrill of his affair with Caroline made him hesitate. In those first days without Lily, Ethan told himself that everything was under control, that Lily would come back once his fling ended. He couldn't fathom Lily making a permanent break. As the days turned into weeks, Ethan's life took on a strange hollowness. Sure, the business deals kept rolling in. He still had expensive suits, lavish dinners, and a calendar brimming with high-profile events. But the penthouse felt eerily silent without Lily's laughter or the faint smell of her vanilla-scented candles. The emptiness gnawed at him in the quiet moments, forcing him to acknowledge that all his wealth couldn't buy real emotional security. Caroline Holt, oblivious to his private torment, reveled in the status of being on Ethan's arm. She introduced him to new circles, new opportunities. With her by his side, Ethan basked in attention, but it felt shallow. At nights, after Caroline left, he would nurse a glass of bourbon, replaying memories of Lily, her trusting gaze, her warmth, and the last time she told him she loved him. A swirl of guilt and longing began to erode his self-assurance. One afternoon, Michael Donovan dropped by Ethan's office. A stack of legal documents needed his signature, but Michael couldn't ignore the change in Ethan's demeanor. "Hey, man," Michael began, voice low, "how are you holding up?" I tried calling Lily, but she wouldn't pick up. "You too, okay?" Ethan sighed, rubbing a hand across his tired eyes. "No, we're not," he admitted. "She's gone, Mike. She's pregnant and gone." Michael's eyes widened. "She's pregnant?" Ethan nodded, exhaling shakily. "I messed up. Caroline and I, things got out of hand. Lily walked out, left a note." Michael's shock morphed into anger. "Ethan, man, Lily's the best thing that's ever happened to you. How could you do this?" Ethan had no coherent answer. Guilt churned in his gut. He shrugged, feeling cornered by his own mistakes. After signing the documents, Michael left, his disapproval lingering like an accusing phantom. Ethan realized he might be alienating not just Lily, but also the people who genuinely cared about him. That night, in the darkest hours, Ethan reached for his phone and scrolled through the old photos of Lily, pictures from their wedding, candid shots from a trip to Santorini, a sweet selfie from the day she opened her art studio. Tears stung his eyes. Caroline was glamorous, yes. She was exciting, yes. But Lily was his home, his true safe harbor. The very thought of Lily pregnant without his support weighed heavily on his conscience, making him question how he could have been so blind. Still, he couldn't summon the courage to call Lily. Part of him felt unworthy, doubting she'd even answer. Another part was tangled in Caroline's seductive web of promises for more extravagant living and unstoppable success. Pride can be a stubborn barrier, and so Ethan stayed in a torturous limbo, each day revealing the extent of his spiritual emptiness. A fortune in the bank, but a bankrupt soul. Money in his pocket, but no one to come home to, and it occurred to him with an ache that, unless he changed course, this might be the rest of his life. Caroline sensed a shift in Ethan's demeanor. He seemed distant, brooding, haunted by thoughts he refused to share. When they attended upscale events, he plastered on a practiced smile, but she felt his mind drifting elsewhere. Caroline, ever alert, decided to solidify her grip on him. She saw Lily's absence as an opportunity to claim Ethan entirely, especially now that Lily was out of the picture. One evening, Caroline invited Ethan to a fundraising gala for an environmental NGO, an event brimming with paparazzi and high society figures. She arrived at his penthouse in a sleek town car, stepping out in a dress that glittered under the city lights. Ethan, lost in his own guilt, complimented her out of reflex. Yet as they drove to the gala, he stared out the window, ignoring Caroline's small talk about potential business collaborations and the A-listers they'd mingle with. At the gala, Caroline moved with calculated grace, introducing Ethan to important donors and flashing her enchanting smile for the cameras. Ethan went through the motions, sipping champagne, exchanging pleasantries, and forcing laughter. Yet he couldn't stop his eyes from searching the crowd for a phantom of Lily's face, though he knew she wouldn't be there. Recognizing his distraction, Caroline gently guided him to a secluded corner of the ballroom. "Ethan," she said, voice laced with concern, "you need to focus. These donors could invest millions in your next venture. Don't let personal matters overshadow tonight." He blinked, taken aback by the bluntness in her tone. "It's not that simple," he replied. "My wife is pregnant with my child and I should be with her. Her lips thinned with frustration. She walked away, Ethan. She's the one who left. You're with me now, and we can do incredible things together, financially, socially, everything. You need to stop dwelling on Lily. Ethan was stunned by the callousness in Caroline's words. It was the first time he truly saw the steel behind her charming facade. This wasn't the empathetic partner he had imagined, but someone hungry for power and prestige, unbothered by the wreckage in her path. A knot of revulsion twisted in his stomach. How had he been so blind? When the evening ended, Caroline urged Ethan to stay at her suite in a nearby luxury hotel. He declined, citing an early morning meeting. Annoyance flickered across her face, but she masked it quickly, planting a showy kiss on his cheek for the paparazzi. As he slipped into the back seat of his chauffeured car, Ethan's mind whirled with second thoughts. This life, this hollow, performative dance, could never replace the quiet comfort of Lily's presence. In the days that followed, Caroline grew increasingly territorial. She demanded Ethan's time, introduced him to more decadent amusements, and hinted at merging her family's real estate holdings with his investments. Yet, whenever Lily was mentioned, Caroline's expression tightened. She would change the topic or undermine Lily's significance. Ethan noticed it all. The more he observed Caroline, the more he realized that the love and acceptance he yearned for from Lily simply did not exist in Caroline's carefully curated world. She valued him for his name, his fortune, his promise of upward mobility in the social stratosphere. As for his child, that was an inconvenience to her ambitions. With every passing interaction, Ethan felt the weight of regret swell within him. He'd allowed himself to be enchanted by Caroline's glamorous veneer, only to realize that she had no empathy for the chaos she'd helped create. Now, with Lily gone, Ethan found that the shallow pleasures and status he once pursued gave him no peace. The question was, had he lost Lily forever? And was it already too late to rectify the betrayals that had led them to this point? At her sister's home, Lily tried to pick up the threads of a normal life. She enrolled in prenatal classes, determined to learn all she could about bringing a healthy baby into the world. Surrounded by expectant mothers at various stages, Lily felt a mix of camaraderie and loneliness. Many of the women chatted excitedly about their partners or husbands who attended appointments with them. Lily, sitting off to the side, couldn't help feeling a pang of envy. Despite Lucy's unwavering support, finances began to weigh heavily on Lily's mind. She had always prided herself on being independent. Even when she was married to Ethan, she had her art, her studio. But without Ethan's financial backing, the business side of her studio had begun to wane. Worried about the mounting bills for doctor's visits, Lily considered seeking legal counsel. She had never wanted Ethan's money for the sake of greed, but she realized that a child's well-being might necessitate a formal arrangement. During a routine checkup, Lily ran into an old friend, Rachel Greenwood, no relation to Ethan, a mere coincidence of surnames, who worked as a nurse at the clinic. Rachel had attended Lily's wedding and had always admired her art. Concerned for Lily, she gently probed, "How are you holding up? I heard rumors." Lily gave a small, sad smile. "I'm getting by. Just taking it one day at a time." Rachel nodded compassionately. "If you need anything, resources, a support group, or just someone to talk to, let me know." Grateful, Lily exchanged contact information. After that, Rachel began introducing Lily to local community programs that offered classes for single, expectant mothers, therapy sessions, and even financial planning. Though Lily struggled with the idea of seeking help, she understood that burying her head in the sand wouldn't serve her or her baby. Meanwhile, Lily found solace in her art once again. Lucy allowed her to set up a small workspace in the garage. There, Lily poured out her emotions on canvas portraits of sorrow and hope, swirling abstract forms that represented her tangled grief. Slowly, word spread that Lily Greenwood was still painting, and a few loyal patrons from her previous shows reached out to purchase her new pieces. Though the amounts were modest compared to what Ethan could have easily provided, every sale felt like a triumph, reaffirming Lily's self-worth. These small victories were overshadowed, however, by waves of nausea and fatigue. The pregnancy progressed, and Lily's body underwent changes that, at times, overwhelmed her. She missed Ethan's presence during ultrasounds, missed his warm hand in hers, missed the idea of sharing this miracle together. But she steeled herself, focusing on practical steps, buying vitamins, scheduling appointments, saving what money she could from painting sales. She was determined to build a secure environment for her child. In the midst of this, Lily received an unexpected email from Ethan's business partner, Michael Donovan. The subject line read, "Are you okay?" Lily hesitated, her heart pounding. She opened it. "Lily, I know you may not trust me right now, but I'm worried about you. Ethan is a mess, though he won't admit it. If you ever want to talk, I'm here. Also, I'd like to discuss something that might help you financially and help keep your art studio afloat. Let me know if you're interested." Michael Lily stared at the screen, a swirl of emotions coursing through her confusion, skepticism, and a glimmer of hope. She'd never been particularly close to Michael, but she knew he'd always admired her artistic passion. Was this a genuine olive branch or some ploy orchestrated by Ethan? Torn, Lily decided to keep the door cracked open. She needed allies now more than ever, even if they came from unexpected places. She replied simply, "Thank you for reaching out. Maybe we can talk soon." Ethan's internal turmoil reached a breaking point when he saw Caroline's true nature on full display. They were at yet another lavish event, a private cocktail party hosted by a foreign dignitary. The conversation drifted to philanthropy, and a guest casually mentioned Lily's name, recalling her impressive artistic talent and kind heart. Caroline let out a cynical laugh, rolling her eyes as she made a disparaging remark about Lily's lack of sophistication. The guest, uncomfortable, quickly changed the topic, but Ethan felt fury bubbling in his chest. He excused himself from the conversation, stepping out into a quiet corridor to breathe. At that moment, Ethan understood the stark reality. Caroline held no respect for the woman he'd once cherished beyond measure. She certainly had none for the unborn child Lily carried. Abruptly, Ethan left the party, ignoring Caroline's protests. Something snapped inside him, and the next morning he made a decision. He arrived at Lucy Henderson's doorstep unannounced, a bouquet of lilies in hand, symbolic, albeit painfully so. Lucy opened the door, startled. She recognized the anguish on Ethan's face and didn't slam the door in his face as she'd first intended. Instead, she told him curtly, "Wait here," and went to fetch Lily. When Lily emerged, she paused at the threshold. Her eyes flickered with raw hurt as she looked at the man who had broken her heart. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. She was visibly pregnant now, a gentle swell beneath her loose-fitting dress. He realized how much time had passed without him being at her side. "Lily," he whispered, extending the bouquet. "These are for you." She glanced at the flowers but didn't accept them. "Why are you here, Ethan? I made a terrible mistake," he stammered, voice trembling with remorse. Caroline, she's not. She's not you. I've been a fool. I'm so sorry." Lily's eyes filled with tears she refused to let fall. "You let me go without a fight, Ethan. You let me believe you were done with us, done with me. Now you suddenly realize you want to be part of this again." His hands shook as he tried to explain. "I was confused, driven by success and illusions. But seeing what I've lost, God, Lily, I'm begging you, please give me a chance." Lucy hovered in the background, anger written across her face, but she held her tongue to allow Lily to respond for herself. Lily inhaled sharply. Emotions warred within her: love, betrayal, fear, hope. Finally she spoke. "I won't deny that I still love you, But trust isn't something you can rebuild overnight. I'm pregnant, Ethan, and I need stability, honesty, and real commitment. Are you prepared to give that? Or is this just guilt speaking? Ethan met her gaze, tears brimming. I'm prepared to do whatever it takes. I want to support you, to be there for our child, to earn back your trust. Silence stretched between them. The tension was palpable. Then Lily's voice cracked as she said, "You need to prove it. I can't just let you back in like nothing happened. If we're going to even consider rebuilding, it has to be slow, with no more lies." Ethan nodded fervently, clutching the bouquet of lilies as if they were a lifeline. "I understand. I'll do anything." Lily turned, motioning for him to follow her inside. Lucy watched wordlessly, but there was a slight easing of her stance. In that cautious, charged moment, it felt as though the possibility of redemption flickered in the air. Yet it was only a beginning, a fragile glimmer of hope, overshadowed by the damage that had already been done. Over the next few weeks, Ethan did his best to demonstrate genuine remorse. He regularly visited Lily, always under Lucy's watchful eye, bringing groceries, paying for prenatal classes, and offering to drive her to medical checkups. He stayed up late into the night reading about pregnancy and parenthood, hoping to prove he was serious. Lily, guarded, appreciated the help, but kept her emotional walls firmly in place. As time wore on, old wounds remained tender. Every time Ethan's phone buzzed, Lily's heart would jolt, haunted by memories of late-night calls with Caroline. One evening, Lily, Ethan, and Lucy were having a subdued dinner, part of their tentative new routine, when Ethan's phone rang. The name on the screen was Michael Donovan. Lily, anxious, watched Ethan pick up. "Hey, Mike," Ethan greeted, his brows knitted into a frown as he listened. "Calm down. What do you mean, embezzlement? That's impossible." Silence filled the room as Ethan's expression darkened. "I'll be there first thing in the morning," he finally said, ending the call. Putting his phone down, he explained, "Michael says there's a significant sum missing from our joint business accounts. He suspects someone inside our firm has been siphoning funds." Lily listened quietly, concerned but unsure how it involved her. Michael's calling for an emergency audit. The next day, Ethan discovered a truth more shocking than he could have imagined. Caroline Holt, in league with a discreet network of unscrupulous brokers, had orchestrated a scheme to siphon money from Ethan's venture capital firm. She had used her connections in real estate and high society to launder the stolen funds. In essence, Caroline had targeted Ethan from the start, seducing him, positioning herself as an indispensable social and business partner, only to systematically drain his company's resources. A sense of utter betrayal sank in as Ethan pored over the financial statements. He realized that his affair had been not only a moral failing, but also a reckless business vulnerability. By entrusting Caroline with privileged information and giving her unfettered access, he had unwittingly set himself up for disaster. Furious and humiliated, Ethan confronted Caroline at her lavish penthouse. She feigned innocence, swearing she had nothing to do with any missing funds. However, as soon as Ethan threatened legal action, her mask slipped, revealing the self-serving ambition beneath. "I'd be careful," she hissed, her voice cold. "If you go after me, don't think I won't take everything I can from you. You are a willing participant in all this, Ethan. Think about your precious public image, your investors, your baby." Ethan reeled, appalled by her audacity. He could scarcely believe he had once found her alluring. But Caroline's threats rattled him, reminding him that scandal could destroy his standing with investors and jeopardize his plans to mend things with Lily. This was no longer just a personal downfall, it was a potentially ruinous fiasco with legal implications. In desperation, Ethan turned to Michael Donovan to help him gather the evidence needed for legal proceedings. They hired a forensic accountant to trace the missing money, building a case that pointed squarely at Caroline's manipulations. As Ethan dove deeper, shame consumed him. His betrayal had not only broken Lily's heart, but had also endangered their financial security. By the time Ethan returned to Lucy's home that evening, his eyes were heavy with fatigue and torment. Lily, observing his strained expression, approached cautiously. "Is everything all right?" she asked. Though they both knew the situation was grim, Ethan took a moment to answer. "Caroline stole from my company," he said quietly, shame burning in his cheeks. "She's threatening to go public with everything if I press charges." Lily's face paled. She might have walked away from Ethan emotionally, but she still understood how serious this was, not just for Ethan, but for their unborn child's future. And so, an unexpected alliance formed a fragile bond between Lily and Ethan, both realizing that if they didn't unite in the face of Caroline's treachery, the fallout could be catastrophic for them both. The next few months were a maelstrom of legal battles and emotional reckonings. With Michael Donovan's backing, Ethan filed a lawsuit against Caroline Holt, providing evidence of her embezzlement. Legal teams descended like hawks, combing through transactions, bank statements, and communications. Caroline responded with her own threats, hinting that she would release salacious details about their affair, tarnishing Ethan's reputation. Though it weighed on him heavily, Ethan refused to drop the charges. He recognized that capitulating to Caroline's blackmail would only perpetuate the damage. For once, he placed moral responsibility above the fear of public disgrace. Investors were initially alarmed by the scandal, but many stood by Ethan after reviewing the evidence, especially when Michael Donovan stepped in to manage damage control. Throughout this ordeal, Lily witnessed Ethan's steadfast resolve. Slowly, she saw a glimmer of the man she had fallen in love with long ago, the one who once spoke passionately about building an empire grounded in integrity. She observed him working tirelessly, not just to reclaim his fortune, but also to mend what was left of their relationship. He regularly attended couples counseling with Lily. He was present at every prenatal appointment, and he made a conscious effort to communicate honestly. As Lily's due date approached, the lawsuit ramped up. Caroline's legal team made last-ditch efforts to dodge accountability, but the evidence was damning. On a rainy afternoon, Caroline finally agreed to a settlement under the condition that she would quietly disappear from the public eye without further attempts to sabotage Ethan. While the final settlement details remained confidential, it included significant restitution to Ethan's firm. The day the documents were signed, Ethan stepped into Lucy's living room where Lily was resting, her belly pronounced and her face radiant with the glow of impending motherhood. He approached her cautiously, unsure if their marriage was truly salvageable. "It's over," he said, relief tinged with lingering remorse. Caroline agreed to settle. Lily nodded, a swirl of emotions crossing her features. "I'm relieved, but this doesn't erase what happened between us." He sank onto the couch beside her, gently taking her hand. "I know. I'm not expecting it to, but I want you to know I'm not that reckless, selfish person anymore. The only thing that matters to me now is you and our child." She studied his face, tears threatening to spill. "I've seen your effort, Ethan, and I see the man I used to love, bit by bit returning, but trust has to be rebuilt from the ground up. We might have a long road ahead." He pressed her hand to his lips. "I'm ready for that road, whatever it takes." A few weeks later, in a hospital room filled with anticipation, Lily gave birth to a baby girl they named Emma Grace Greenwood. The moment Emma let out her first cry, Ethan and Lily locked eyes. The magnitude of this new life, this second chance at becoming a family, washed over them in a wave of awe and emotion. In the following months, they took it one day at a time. Lily moved out of Lucy's home and into a smaller apartment that Ethan purchased under her name, a gesture of security for both mother and child. They resumed counseling together, discussing the past, openly unearthing pain, guilt, and shattered trust, trying to stitch it all back together. Each time Ethan held Emma, he felt a profound gratitude for a chance he nearly threw away. Though ghosts of betrayal lingered, the Greenwood family found a tentative harmony. Lily reopened her art studio under new management, with partial funding from a trust Ethan set up for Emma. Ethan, once obsessed with success, learned humility through heartbreak. Gradually, Lily believed he was sincere, and they began exploring the idea of living as a family again. Their story wasn't a fairy tale of instant forgiveness. Instead, it became an ongoing testament that from profound mistakes can come profound redemption. Even as they navigated the complexities of healing, both held onto one precious truth. Sometimes you have to lose what matters most to truly understand its value. Thank you for joining us on this emotional journey through love, betrayal, and the fragile hope of reconciliation. If this story touched your heart, if you felt the highs and lows along with Ethan and Lily, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. By spreading this story, you're helping to remind others that behind every shiny facade can lie deep heartache, and that, with courage and genuine effort, even the darkest mistakes can lead to second chances. Your support means everything. Don't forget to leave a comment below about your favorite twist, the moment that surprised you the most, or the lesson you took away from Ethan and Lily's odyssey. We have more captivating stories coming your way, so stay tuned and keep an open heart. Thank you for watching, sharing, and being part of our storytelling family.